5 books you can read to make your growth mindset better. When it comes to having a growth mindset or a fixed mindset, most people find themselves falling somewhere in the middle. Thankfully, there are plenty of great writers out there who have figured out this whole growth mindset thing. This list of books certainly won't cover all of the books about adopting a growth mindset, but it should serve as a good place to start. Try to keep in mind that adopting a growth mindset takes time. As you're reading these books, have patience and be kind to yourself. Are you ready to hear about the books? Then let's get started. 1. Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Thinking Fast and Slow delves into the two systems shaping our thinking, the quick, intuitive System 1 and the methodical, analytical System 2. With a foundation in extensive research from psychology and behavioral economics, Kahneman uncovers the biases that impact our decision-making. The book provides insights into the complexities of human thought and suggests strategies for improving one's decision-making skills. Kahneman engages readers in a down-to-earth conversation about our thought processes and talks about when to trust or be wary of our intuitions. He explores the advantages of deliberate, slow thinking and offers insights into decision-making in both personal and professional scenarios. This book has been a consistent bestseller for almost a decade and stands as a modern classic. I'd highly recommend it if you're looking to gain new perspectives and strengthen your growth mindset. 2. Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? By Dr. Julie Smith. In Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before, Smith shares personal stories and thoughtful observations with the reader. She provides a fantastic guide to overcoming obstacles, adapting to change, and discovering purpose by adopting a growth mindset. Delving into the significance of mental health alongside physical health, Dr. Julie Smith's guide provides readers with a deeper understanding of how the mind functions. I'd definitely recommend giving this book a read. Many readers have claimed that it's changed their lives. 3. The Mountain is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery by Brianna West. In this book, West combines introspective guidance with psychological insights. She encourages readers to confront their internal struggles and turn them into opportunities for self-discovery and growth. The Mountain is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery offers readers a guide for changing their perspectives, growing their self-awareness, and embracing their personal journey of self-mastery. Throughout history, the metaphor of the mountain has symbolized the significant challenges we face, especially those that seem insurmountable. Scaling these metaphorical mountains requires digging deep into the depths of our internal struggles, addressing our traumas, building resilience, and adjusting our approach to the climb. West suggests that self-mastery lies not in conquering the mountain itself, but in mastering oneself. That's right, the mountain is you. 4. Get Out of Your Own Way, Overcoming Self-Defeating Behavior by Philip Goldberg. In this book, you'll find down-to-earth, hands-on advice to overcoming self-sabotage and focusing on your personal growth instead. Goldberg draws on science, real-life stories, and practical strategies, all of which you can use to help you more effectively identify and tackle your self-defeating behaviors. 5. Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol S. Dweck. In Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, Carol S. Dweck, a well-known psychologist from Stanford University, introduces the idea of fixed and growth mindsets. She shows how our beliefs about our abilities can significantly influence our achievements and personal development. Through research-backed facts and real-life examples, this book encourages readers to develop a growth mindset, take on challenges, and tap into their full potential. 5 examples of famous people and how they faced limiting beliefs. The important thing to remember is that these famous people didn't let their limiting beliefs stop them from achieving their dreams and finding great success. A limiting belief is basically like a mindset or thought that you see as absolute truth. As the term suggests, it limits you or holds you back from achieving your goals and living your life to the fullest. It's not just how you see yourself. It's also about how you think the world works, your ideas, and how you deal with people. To give you some context, thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be successful, so maybe I should just give up now," are examples of limiting beliefs. These types of thoughts can prevent you from growing personally and may even stop you from reaching your full potential in several areas of your life. Without further ado, let's get into our list of famous people who overcame limiting beliefs, shall we? Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, a media mogul and philanthropist, has never shied away from talking about her struggles with not feeling good enough and having low self-esteem. Despite dealing with these mental blocks, she went against what society expected and became one of the most well-known people in the media industry. Oprah's story is all about resilience and believing in yourself. She proved that she could overcome her inner struggles and find success, which is just one reason why she has inspired millions of people. J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, the famous author of the Harry Potter series, has also been pretty upfront about her struggles with feeling inferior and struggling with self-doubt. She was told no hundreds of times before a publisher finally accepted her first book. And as we know, this led to her becoming incredibly successful. Her story is a powerful example of how staying determined can help you achieve your goals. It shows that even when you're dealing with self-doubt, you can still make a lasting impact on others, yourself, and the world. Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, a poet and civil rights activist, wrote and talked openly about not feeling good enough due to the trauma she went through and the adversity she faced. Even while coping with her past trauma, Angelou continued to write, often using her writing as an outlet for expressing herself, and went on to become a source of inspiration for many people. Her story shows that no matter what you're dealing with, you can do anything you set your heart and mind to. Thomas Edison. When Thomas Edison was in school, he was labeled as mentally weak by his teachers, but he didn't let that stop him. Instead, he defied the odds and went on to become one of the greatest inventors of all time. As you may or may not know, he eventually invented the light bulb, which changed lives. His story shows that as long as you're able to believe in yourself, the negative perceptions that other people may have of you don't matter. Colonel Harlan Sanders. Colonel Harlan Sanders heard no a whopping 1,009 times before someone finally said yes. With not much to work with, he went door to door in neighborhoods and approached restaurants, trying to find someone to partner with for his chicken recipe. Even when people weren't interested at first, Sanders didn't give up. He traveled around, cooked his fried chicken for restaurant owners, and didn't stop until he got handshake agreements. All that persistence paid off, and KFC became a global success. And there you have it. These 5 famous people overcame their limiting beliefs in order to reach their goals. And you can too. In this presentation, I'll be going over 5 quotes that will help you challenge your limiting beliefs. I'll also be talking about why it's important to remember these particular quotes during challenging times. Those of us who are especially sensitive tend to get stuck on our limiting beliefs, and this can prevent us from living our best lives. This doesn't have to be the case, though. Let's talk about 5 quotes that people just like you and me frequently come back to when they're having a hard time coping with their limiting beliefs. Remember, these quotes aren't just phrases. They can actually help guide you toward personal growth and self-compassion. As we go over these quotes, feel free to reflect on their meanings and how you can apply them to your personal life. 1. Believe that you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. In this quote, Theodore Roosevelt is emphasizing the significance of self-confidence and positive thinking. He suggests that having a strong belief in your abilities acts as a driving force and can help push you closer to achieving your goals. In simpler terms, you must have a positive mindset and believe in yourself when facing challenges and working towards your goals. 2. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Buddha. Here, Buddha talks about how your attitude actually plays a significant role when it comes to figuring out who you are as a person. In a way, we are our thoughts, and our thoughts influence our identity and experiences. This is why it's so important to be mindful and consider how giving in to your negative thoughts can impact your personal growth. 3. You must find the place inside yourself where nothing is impossible. Deepak Chopra. Each and every one of us has untapped potential, and Deepak Chopra's quote emphasizes this. You must believe that nothing is impossible and chase your goals to the best of your abilities. Digging deep to find this place where nothing is impossible is going to take some work, but it'll help you build up your resilience, so it's well worth it. 4. Do not be embarrassed by your failures. Learn from them and start again. Richard Branson. Perhaps you've heard the fable of the crow, who, after failing to get water out of a bottle, started putting stones into the bottle in order to make the water level rise. The moral of this fable is, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Richard Branson is saying something similar here. If you allow yourself to be so embarrassed by your failures that you never try again, you'll be inadvertently limiting yourself. Instead of getting embarrassed, learn from your failures, and you'll eventually achieve success. 5. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. Roy T. Bennett. This quote urges people to push back against the fears that might hold them back and focus on their dreams instead. Essentially, it suggests adopting a mindset that values passion and vision more than your perceived limits set by your fears. The idea is to follow your heart rather than allow yourself to be controlled by your worries. In other words, don't let your anxiety and thoughts of self-doubt get in the way of pursuing your passions. Why are these quotes important? When times are tough, people often need something to look to. This is why these quotes have been documented over time. They've continued to impact society and can be something that you use to motivate yourself whenever you start to feel your limiting thoughts and beliefs creep in. In this presentation, I'm going to be discussing 5 reasons why self-compassion is something you should practice regularly. Oftentimes, you are your own worst critic, which can make treating yourself with kindness a bit of a challenge. However, studies show that practicing self-compassion is good for your mental health. If you frequently find yourself being overly critical, judging your thoughts and actions, or even blaming yourself for things outside of your control, you're definitely not alone. Negative self-chatter is a surprisingly common habit, but thankfully, there are ways you can fight it. Before we get into the reasons why practicing self-compassion is so important, let's talk about what self-compassion is. What is self-compassion? Having compassion for yourself is essentially no different than having compassion for others. Consider what it feels like to experience compassion. In a nutshell, it involves being moved by the suffering of others and allowing your heart to respond to their pain. Self-compassion works in the same way, except you're directing your compassion towards yourself. When you go through something difficult or notice something about yourself that you're not happy with, your initial instinct might be to judge yourself harshly. This is where self-compassion comes in. Instead of judging yourself or simply shoving your pain under the rug, you can practice self-compassion by saying, "This is really difficult right now." Once you've acknowledged your pain, consider how you can comfort and care for yourself in that moment. 5 reasons why you should practice self-compassion regularly. Now let's get into the reasons why self-compassion is something you should practice regularly. There's been a lot of research done on this topic in the past few years, and you might be surprised by how helpful practicing self-compassion regularly can be. 1. Encourages healthy habits. People who treat themselves with kindness every day are more likely to adopt positive habits, like exercising regularly, maintaining a nutritious diet, and scheduling regular checkups with their doctor. Having compassion for yourself will motivate you to take better care of yourself. In other words, you'll be able to make a more proactive approach when it comes to keeping your health in check. 2. It will strengthen your coping skills. Whether you're dealing with stressful challenges at work, managing chronic pain, or working through something traumatic, practicing self-compassion can be a great way to cope with these challenges more effectively. The ability to acknowledge your own struggles with kindness will help you notice your triggers, as well as build up your resilience. 3. It promotes responsibility. Practicing self-compassion regularly can help you be more self-aware and take responsibility for your actions. Those who have a self-compassionate mindset will generally have an easier time not dwelling on self-blame. Instead, they'll be able to focus on taking accountability for their actions and working on their personal growth. 4. It will improve your mental health. Regularly practicing self-compassion is also great for your mental health. People who treat themselves with kindness and understanding are less susceptible to the harmful effects of self-judgment and negative self-chatter. You'll be less stressed out, less anxious, and have the mindset you need to combat depression too. 5. It will improve your confidence. Practicing self-compassion will also make it easier for you to acknowledge and accept your failures. Sometimes we're so afraid of failing that we don't even try, and naturally, this can keep us from potentially succeeding. By practicing self-compassion, you'll be building up a more positive self-view, which will improve your confidence and motivate you to face your fear of failure. I hope you've enjoyed this list and feel more inspired to practice self-compassion regularly. In this presentation, I'll be discussing 5 signs of a fixed mindset, as well as what you can do to fix your fixed mindset. Unfortunately, a lot of people do end up developing a fixed mindset, but that's okay. Let's talk a bit more about what the term fixed mindset means before we get into the meat and potatoes of fixing a fixed mindset. What is a fixed mindset? According to the fixed mindset principle, success in life is attributed solely to sufficient intelligence. Those with a fixed mindset tend to view things in a straightforward manner, devoid of shades of gray. In a fixed mindset, the general belief is that aspects like creativity, character, and intelligence exist as they are and are not susceptible to change. 5 signs you have a fixed mindset. Keeping this in mind, let's take a look at some signs that you may have a fixed mindset. If you feel like you do have a fixed mindset, don't worry. This is surprisingly common and fixable. 1. You give up when things get hard. People with a fixed mindset often give up quickly when they come across challenges. Instead of dealing with obstacles, they choose to avoid them. Any challenges that take them out of their comfort zone seem like threats, and avoiding them is the easier option. There's not much eagerness for growth, and giving up feels like a safer way out. 2. You have a desire to look smart. People with a fixed mindset are often eager to look smart without genuinely being smart. This mindset values the perception of intelligence over actual intellectual growth. It's not only about others' perceptions. Looking smart allows those with fixed mindset to avoid putting in any extra effort. If they appear smart, it satisfies them, and they don't feel the need to step outside of their comfort zones or test their abilities. 3. You don't take constructive criticism well. It's normal to feel a bit defensive when you're faced with criticism. Those with a fixed mindset, however, tend to brush off constructive criticism entirely. To put it into perspective, people with a growth mindset will know how to embrace constructive criticism as an opportunity for personal growth. 4. You believe that you should be put on a pedestal. Have you ever wondered how having a fixed mindset plays out in a relationship? Well, since the person with a fixed mindset thinks nothing needs to be changed or altered, they will usually expect their partner to put them on a pedestal. In contrast, those who have a growth mindset will want their partner to challenge them and encourage them to be a better person. They're able to recognize that it's okay to be a work in progress. 5. You feel threatened when others succeed. It's normal to feel this way sometimes, but if you constantly feel threatened by the success of other people, it may be a sign that you have a fixed mindset. You may believe that others who have found success have simply been handed that success, and for that reason, you'll never find success because life just isn't fair. Needless to say, this is a limiting belief. Fixing your fixed mindset. Thankfully, there are a lot of strategies you can use to fix your fixed mindset. To switch from a fixed to a growth mindset, you must be able to see challenges as chances to learn. You should also embrace feedback so that you can truly improve upon yourself and focus on effort, not just your abilities, to build up resilience. Avoid comparing yourself to others and be patient. Over time, you'll very likely see results. In this presentation, I'll be discussing the importance of having a support system and who should be included in that support system. When the going gets rough, talking to friends, family, coworkers, community members, and healthcare professionals, like therapists, can really help. Your support system is basically the people you count on for help when you really need it. Having a support system is super important because it's basically like having a constant reminder that you're not alone. By surrounding yourself with people who love and care about you, you'll be ensuring that you'll never have to take on certain hardships on your own. Let's kick off this presentation by talking about what a support system is in a little bit more detail. What is a support system? In simple terms, a support system is a group of people who've got your back, and in turn, you'll have their back too. Your support system can be made up of family members, friends, coworkers, and community members. But, as I mentioned before, your therapist would count as a part of your support system too. You can even form an online support system if you're struggling to connect with people in real life. Sometimes having a like-minded person to talk to online can be very helpful, even if they live all the way across the country. Your support system is essentially there to keep you grounded. Remember, relying on others for support doesn't make you weak. If anything, acknowledging that you need a support system and then actually forming said support system is a sign of incredible strength. How to build your support system. Actually building your support system is going to take time. You need to form relationships with people and know that you can fully trust them to be there for you in times of need. Let's talk about some tips you can follow when it comes to building your support system. Figure out what you need. When you're putting together your support system, you'll want to start by figuring out what you really need from it. Think about whether you want a better professional network, more reliable friends, or maybe some help with a mental health professional. Having clarity when it comes to your needs will help lay the foundation for a strong support system you've been looking for. Go beyond friends and family members. As important as friends and family members are, your support system shouldn't only include friends and family members. Not everyone has a solid family situation, and relying only on friends might limit your options. So broaden your circle. The more diverse your support system, the better chance you'll have of connecting with people who have the right skills to give you the support you need. Nurture your support system. When it comes to nurturing your support system, you shouldn't be afraid to take the lead and stoke the fire, so to speak, once in a while. Let your people know that they're part of your support system and be clear about how they can support you. You should also be clear about how you can support them. Support is a two-way street after all. It's not just about strengthening your personal connections. It's about making it more likely that you'll get the support you need right when you need it. Consider seeing a therapist. Your therapist isn't like a friend or family member. They'll be able to offer you an impartial perspective on your experiences. Not only will they provide you with support and feedback, but they'll be able to help you see a unique perspective that your friends and family members wouldn't be able to provide you with. Can a growth mindset help you achieve your goals faster? Do you believe that skills and intelligence can be improved over time? If so, you're already well on your way to developing a growth mindset. Adopting this perspective should motivate you to take on new challenges and learn new things for the purpose of growing as a person. In general, people who have a growth mindset are more inclined to chase after success and achieve their goals. This is because, unlike people who have a fixed mindset, they don't get complacent. They believe that there's always room to improve and strive to be the best they can be in any given situation. Let's talk about the benefits of having a growth mindset, shall we? This should help you gain a deeper understanding of how having a growth mindset can help you achieve your goals. The benefits of having a growth mindset. Needless to say, the benefits of adopting a growth mindset are plentiful. In general, people who have a growth mindset will be more motivated to work hard. They'll also be more willing to use their failures as opportunities for growth. Let's get into it, shall we? You'll be able to thrive during tough times. People who have a fixed mindset usually think that their present circumstances and capabilities are unchangeable. When facing difficulties, they often assume that things won't improve no matter what. Those with a growth mindset, on the other hand, tend to adopt a more optimistic outlook on things. They're often quite persistent and will confront challenges head-on. This helps them build up their resilience and makes it easier for them to thrive, even when times are tough. You'll gain a healthy perspective on failure. When you don't quite reach a goal, do you label it as a failure and throw in the towel? Or do you learn from the experience and adjust your approach for next time? If the first scenario resonates with you, you might be holding on to a fixed mindset. Those with a growth mindset will view their failure as valuable lessons. Falling short of a goal doesn't equate to failure for them. It simply means they haven't reached that particular goal yet. You'll be enthusiastic about learning. People with a growth mindset are able to find joy in learning. They understand that what they know, as well as the things they're able to do, isn't set in stone. There's always room for personal growth. This perspective motivates them to actively pursue new learning opportunities. They're always striving to gain more knowledge because, unlike those who have a fixed mindset, they understand that there is always more to learn. You'll welcome challenges. People who embrace a growth mindset will eagerly embrace challenges rather than shy away from them. In contrast, those with a fixed mindset continually seek to validate their existing abilities. If you approach challenges with a fixed mindset, you might achieve everything you set out to do, but it's likely because you've set the bar so low that you can't possibly fail. In fact, I think it's fair to say that people with a fixed mindset fear failure, while people with a growth mindset embrace failure as a learning opportunity. If you're interested in genuine personal development, you must confront challenges with a growth mindset. You should also adopt a growth mindset when it comes to achieving your goals. Oftentimes, a person with a fixed mindset will settle for something that's good enough, but this ultimately won't make them feel satisfied in the long run. Growth mindset tactics you can adopt as soon as today. Consider the person or people in your life who have achieved significant success. Perhaps they just got a promotion at work, or maybe they just bought their first house. Do you think that their success is a result of their efforts and learning from mistakes, or do you see it as luck or inherent talent? Some people view success as the outcome of hard work, persistence, and continuous learning, while others believe that success is purely genetic and that certain people naturally excel in specific areas. These two perspectives are commonly referred to as fixed and growth mindsets. As you may have already guessed, having a fixed mindset can be pretty limiting. If you believe that success is a product of luck, you won't see any reason to try when it comes to pursuing your goals. Having a growth mindset, on the other hand, opens you up to more possibilities for success because you're willing to work hard and learn from your failures. Now that we've discussed the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, let's talk about some growth mindset tactics that you can adopt as soon as today. Explore why you want to adopt a growth mindset. What aspects of the growth mindset inspire you to make a change? What advantages do you anticipate a growth mindset could bring to your life? Having a clear understanding of this can provide you with a sense of purpose, especially when you're facing challenges and adopting this perspective. And yes, there will be challenges. Adopting a growth mindset is not an immediate thing. It's going to take time and effort. It's not a bad thing, though. Change your perspective on failure. This is a hard one. You'll definitely need to do a bit of mental gymnastics, but that's simply a part of the process of developing a growth mindset. You should try to see failure not as a sign of incompetence, but as a natural part of learning. Even the most accomplished athletes, artists, and business leaders failed at some point in their lives. It's okay to fail, as long as you don't let your failure persuade you to give up. If anything, it should motivate you to keep trying. Know your limits. Remember, you're only human. A big part of having a growth mindset is understanding your limits. Some things will simply be beyond what you're able to achieve, and that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself and focus on pursuing realistic goals. This isn't just about not biting off more than you can chew. It's also a matter of learning how to accept yourself as you are, with room for growth, of course. Notice how you speak and act. Do you often find yourself saying things like, "I suck at this," or "I'll never be as talented as she is"? It's perfectly normal for thoughts like this to creep in every once in a while, but if you're constantly thinking of talking this way about yourself, it might be a sign that you have a fixed mindset. Noticing that you have a fixed mindset is the first step to fixing your fixed mindset. When you have negative thoughts, acknowledge them and try to swap them out for thoughts like, "If I practice enough, I'll get better," and "She's clearly put a lot of effort into this, and I can too." So there you have it. You can start working on your growth mindset as soon as today. So don't wait any longer. Should you cut out negative people who fuel your limiting beliefs? Perhaps you have a friend who constantly makes negative comments about your body, or maybe your significant other is always putting you down in small ways. You may not know it, but the people you care about most may be fueling your limiting beliefs. It's always difficult to acknowledge, let alone accept, when a friend, significant other, or family member is making you miserable. If you've had a relationship with this person for a while, they might know exactly how to cut you down. Chances are they've been chipping away at your self-esteem for years, probably because they're insecure about themselves in some way. Still, the question of whether you should cut out negative people who fuel your limiting beliefs is a tough one to answer. Let's break it down, shall we? When should you cut out negative people? People with toxic traits struggle to respect the boundaries set by others. Instead of understanding and accepting people's limits, they tend to react strongly when faced with such boundaries, showing that those limits are absolutely necessary. In contrast to people who are emotionally healthy, who tend to recognize and respect boundaries, even if it's uncomfortable, toxic people will keep pushing, bargaining, and crossing these boundaries. Oftentimes, they do this because they believe that constant pressure will eventually make others give in. When others do give in, it reinforces their behavior. So when should you cut negative people who are fueling your limiting beliefs out of your life? Well, there is not exactly a right time to do this, but there are some signs you can look for when determining whether you should cut out a negative person. They're manipulative. If someone in your life is manipulative and controlling, that's a good sign that you should cut them out. For a toxic person, relationships aren't about making real connections that are built on love and respect. Usually, toxic people see relationships as a way to get what they want. Noticing manipulation and control, especially in the early stages of a relationship or friendship, can be tough. You really need to be tuned into your emotions, which is easier said than done. They always have to be right. We all know someone like this. Toxic people often struggle to admit when they're wrong, whether it's a small mistake or hurting someone deeply. Owning up to it threatens their ego. They always claim to be right and put their self first. Usually, toxic people won't own up to their mistakes. However, they'll be quick to broadcast any mistakes you make. This is a great example of how toxic people fuel your limiting beliefs. They play the victim. Playing the victim is another example of manipulation. Once again, toxic people believe that they can't be wrong, which is why, if you call them out for something they did, they'll be quick to play the victim. In contrast, an emotionally healthy person will be able to own up to their mistakes and recognize when they've hurt your feelings. They'll also say sorry, which a toxic or negative person will rarely do, unless they're trying to manipulate you in some way. Why should you cut out negative people? Despite the limiting beliefs that the negative people in your life have instilled within you, you deserve to be happy. If you hold on to relationships with toxic people, you're going to end up feeling emotionally drained, demoralized, and unappreciated. Obviously, cutting negative people out is never easy, but it is necessary. Why do limiting beliefs exist? These may be 5 reasons why. When you were a kid, you might have believed that you would be an astronaut or the President of the United States one day. It's amazing to think about how your wild beliefs were when you were a kid, huh? You may be wondering why you believed such things, and the reason is actually quite simple. As a child, the bulk of your limiting beliefs hadn't set in yet. Our beliefs are like the building blocks of what we know, the absolute truths that have been with us since we were little. In most cases, our beliefs formed as we grew up and may have been influenced by important people during our early years. Let's talk a bit more about what limiting beliefs are before we get into the reasons why they exist. What are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are, as the term suggests, the beliefs we carry that limit us or hold us back from achieving our goals. They usually come up due to certain bad experiences we've had, typically experiences that end in failure or embarrassment. If you allow these limiting beliefs to shape your life, you'll likely find yourself acting out said beliefs, which will only further ingrain your belief that these types of thoughts are true in your mind. 5 reasons why limiting beliefs exist. As you can probably imagine, limiting beliefs often stem from past trauma. One of your classmates, or perhaps even a teacher, may have made you feel inadequate in some way, and that has stuck with you, cementing your limiting belief that you're not good enough. Let's go over the main reasons why limiting beliefs exist. 1. They're born out of fear. Fear tends to drive us to believe certain things and act in certain ways. This is especially true for people who have anxiety disorders. This is why it's so important for you to be able to take fear by the reins. You have the power to control and overcome your fear. It's simply a matter of digging deep and finding it, rather than staying confined in your comfort zone. 2. Imposter syndrome. You may have heard of imposter syndrome before. Perhaps you often feel like you don't know what you're doing at work, even if you've consistently done a great job. This psychological pattern tricks us into believing that our accomplishments are mere luck. We constantly fear being exposed as frauds, and this fear can manifest as limiting beliefs. 3. Past experiences. Many of our limiting beliefs probably stem from something that happened when you were a kid or teenager. If a painful incident leaves a lasting mark, your brain may construct limiting beliefs as protective shields. Of course, this ultimately isn't sustainable. Letting your past experiences hold you back is going to prevent you from experiencing personal growth. 4. You have a wall up. Over time, you may have developed so many limiting beliefs that they act as a wall of sorts. This wall is meant to protect you from getting hurt again, but it's actually preventing you from growing as a person. Consider a snail that refuses to leave his old shell for a bigger one. Eventually, this little snail would get pretty uncomfortable. 5. Someone ingrained these beliefs within you. Again, this is something that usually happens at a young age. Your parents or teachers tell you something over and over again, and it eventually solidifies as a belief in your mind. It's important to remember that the things that people may have said to you in the past don't matter. You shouldn't let hurtful comments hold you back from achieving your dreams.